you've written a book. We had the chance to talk a while back, and I felt like we just kind of scratched the surface. I want to have you come back for a second round here about this book, Funny How Life Works.
Yeah.
So this is, would you say this is a biography, a memoir, is just a collection of stories?
I would say it is a collection of stories. What I did was, the reason I want to write the book is because I've done a lot of comedy. And there's one joke in particular, a jogging joke where I'm jogging on the street. I did this joke on the Tonight Show on NBC, and the host said it was a classic immediately, but nobody knew where the joke really came from. Nobody understood the story behind it. So I was like, you know what, I need to share that. And there's so many other stories. So my desire, I'm actually called to comedically inspire people to walk in purpose. Like that's what I'm actually called to do.
I like that.
So
That's good.
I just felt like this book would be another platform to do that, where I could share some stories, add a lot of funny in it, because when people laugh, their hearts are open. And if a heart is open, then I want to make a deposit that can make a positive change. So it's the reason we wrote the book. And there's some great stories. There's one story in there where I'm on stage, and I felt like I was supposed to bring this lady up on stage. But I didn't know her. We'd never met before. I just felt like God was like, hey, bring her up on stage. And I bring her up on stage, and it turns out she's deaf. Like she couldn't hear, deaf. Yeah.
Right.
Kind of like
Okay.
when your wife tries to agree with you, she's like, I can't hear.
Okay, I see you working. I
Right.
See that.
So
I think the thread's going
right. So I bring her up on stage, and what happens to the audience and what I received from this experience was amazing. But that's one of those things that you would have to share in written form. We got an audio book too, but another great example, I won't get to that story, is I did a show one time. So whenever I do comedy, here's what's happening. I'm on stage. If you see me anywhere on stage, or if I'm doing a keynote presentation, whatever it is, I may be presenting joke number one. But at the same time, I'm doing the math on what joke number two should be based off of the current response joke number one.
Yeah.
Then I'll move on and start doing the math on what I think joke number three should be based off of the current responding to joke number two and probably responding to joke number one. I actually used to go 7 jokes deep, but then I met Jesus. And I can't go 7 deep anymore because I'm listening on stage.
Right.
Instead of just saying how can I get more laughs, I'm listening in between the gaps. I'm asking the question, what can I give to my audience? And most of the time it's something funny, but sometimes it's something a little more. So I was in Sacramento, and I felt like the thing I need to explain to people is how life works. There's a setup and there's a punchline. The setup is what you receive, but your punchline is about what you're called to deliver. It's your purpose. And I said how some people in this audience probably have to make a hard step. It seems like it's hard, but you know in the end it's going to work out for the good. But you have to be sensitive to trust God to do the things. So I just said that on stage. Well, after the show, this guy, security comes up to me and says, there's a guy who really has to come to me. I'm like, okay, so I go out there. It's a white dude, he got on like a wife beater. It looked like he had been crying. It looked like he had been high, but he actually had been crying, which is abnormal at my events. People either laugh and cry, or they're emotional. And he explains to me that, he says, man, life is so hard, man. I just came to this comedy show to get away from it. I just wanted to get away from all of this pressure. But then you said what you said, man, and I know what I gotta do, man, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know and he's like, can you help me? And I'm like, what you trying to do? I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, right.
And tearfully, in tears, he asked me, he explains to me that he's wanted by the police in several states.
Oh my.
And he wants to know if I will help him turn this around. So right there, at the end of my comedy show, we called the police, they sent a cruiser, me and him hug out, and then he gets in the back of the car and drops it in the back of the police car. He literally, now listen, had I only been asking the question, how can I get laughs, instead of listening between the gaps, asking what can I give, that experience would have never happened. Who knows where he'd be right now. But all I chose in between the jokes, instead of just using my gift to gain, to ask what can I give. Now listen, for your listeners right now, no matter what you do in life, there's gaps. What question are you asking in between the gaps? Are you asking what can I get? Or are you asking what can I give? And if you don't know the answer to that question, you probably know the answer to that question.
Yes.
You're asking what can I get? Until you make the decision to say, okay, God, I'm gonna follow you. Until you fully surrender, like he did, things will continue to be as they are instead of what they could be.